Who else is online besides Chair Jefferson?
Easy.
Well, Tracy, yeah, but I mean, she's young, okay. But technically, because she's actually technically in the room because because she's online for illness.
She's caring for
Someone else. That's
Someone else.
Right, but still, but
My
but-
son had a doctor's appointment and I was not able to make it back.
I wasn't asking why for that reason. I was just saying, as far as quorum, if somebody is somebody is virtual because of illness, that's considered a quorum in the room.
Well, apparently only if you're
Actually,
here.
I misinterpreted our policy. We're okay tonight for GPC because we have 3 attending in person.
So is it that it doesn't count against them because it's an illness, so it doesn't count them against them?
If they are sick themselves,
It has to be them themselves. They can't be caring for a loved one.
if they're sick themselves, they won't count, and I'm councils behind
No,
me.
I'm not gonna look back there yet, because I know what the 1% answer they might give me, so I'm not gonna say that. All right, I'm closing the session, because I actually do want to have I actually want
Yeah, we need to-
to understand how this works. All right, I'm gonna call to order the Governance Personnel Committee of NVTA, that's the Northern Virginia Transportation Authority, for February 13th, 2025. This meeting will be in person, accessible by YouTube. We do have 3 people in the room for quorum. We have 1 person online, and we're going to, I just want to understand that in just a second, but what I will do first is ask for approval of the minutes from the last meeting, which is January 9th, 2025. I'll make a motion to approve. Is there a second on that motion?
Second.
So motion seconded by Mayor Reed. Thank you. Discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all people please say aye.
I have to abstain. I wasn't here.
Ms. Jefferson?
Aye.
Thank you. That is a 3-1-0. I'm sorry, 3-1-1 approval. Without objection, I do, from the committee, I do want to add this discussion to the agenda without objection, because I do want to understand how this works for committee meetings. And without objection, my question is for virtual meetings, if we have somebody who cannot come in because they are either sick themselves or caring for a loved one, either way, does that count against them at all for how many virtual meetings they can call into? And are they considered to be in the room, or do we still have a quorum of 3 people in the room? And I will ask Council of Councils for that answer.
Okay.
Okay.
For the quorum, we'll start with the quorum
Yeah.
issue. Okay. If it's just a medical condition basically like today I'm sick, or today somebody I'm taking care of is sick,
Mhm.
it doesn't count towards a quorum, but they can participate remotely.
Okay,
If it is a temporary or permanent if it's a disability as defined under the statute, or if you're a caretaker for a person with a disability, then you count towards the
it was a
quorum.
quorum. Okay,
And
that makes
participate.
sense. That makes sense. Okay, that makes sense.
Okay.
The second part of the question is, if it's someone who is either sick themselves or taking care of somebody else, do they have a limit? Does this count against how many virtual meetings they can attend? Or does that not matter at all because it's a committee meeting, not a full authority meeting?
Okay, so I would believe, and I'll let Christina jump in if she thinks I'm wrong. I think you look at any limitations based on each kind of committee or body on its own, right? So if whatever you miss at this committee meeting doesn't get added to what you miss at the finance or the full authority.
Yeah.
Meeting, right? The only limitation I see is if you're using remote participation due to a personal matter.
Mhm.
It can only be done 2 times.
Oh, well, that's okay. I'm surprised. I thought it was a personal matter.
Or
Didn't count.
25%,
25%.
whatever's greater.
Okay.
So that could be.
Okay, well, that's a lot, that's a lot different. Okay, and a personal matter includes either being ill yourself or taking care of a loved one? No, it does not.
Differentiates it's basically medical condition or disability or personal. So personal, I think, is everything but the disability or
Right.
medical
Really?
condition.
Okay,
So I think that would lead you
Okay.
to believe you could have more.
yeah,
or-
okay. Well, I'm glad I asked that because that wasn't my understanding. So that is helpful. I don't agree with it, but it's helpful.
You don't agree with the interpretation?
No, I don't agree with the interpretation. You're fine. You're wonderful. No, I don't agree with you. No, I don't agree. No, I agree with your interpretation. I wish it worked so.
Sure.
It's a better way to say that, but then I wish it would so. Yes, Mr. Long.
We also have the distance category.
Correct, sorry.
But that really applies to the General Assembly members for the most
Oh, yeah.
part. Yeah.
Good. That's a different thing. Yeah, I understand that. Because otherwise, you're in Northern Virginia if you're on the Northern Virginia Transportation Authority. Unless you're in the General Assembly at that moment. Yeah, I get you. Okay, yeah, no, thank you for that. I appreciate that. Okay, thank you, committee members, for allowing me to get that understanding. The only discussion we have is, it should be take no time at all. It's the well, it shouldn't. It's the update from Ms. Baynard on the on any MBTA item that is in the General Assembly, has worked its way through the General Assembly or has not worked its way through the General Assembly. So Ms. Baynard, are you on?
I am, Madam Chair. How is everybody?
We're good. You want to give us an update of this incredibly boring session of the General Assembly this time?
9 days left, Madam Chair, 9 days left. So in terms of NVTA impact related legislation, Senator Surville's Senate Bill 1007, which started out as the creation of a new parking space tax, morphed on the Senate side to a study where he wanted NVTA to take the VDOT regional pedestrian bike facility study and bring stakeholders together to sort of figure out how to prioritize the project list, think about how it could get dedicated funding, and report back to the General Assembly with some thoughts and recommendations no later than November 1, 2025. That bill passed the Senate and on a vote of, I should know this by heart, passed the Senate 37-2-1, then was assigned to the House Transportation Committee. From there, it was assigned to a subcommittee of that full committee, which met earlier this week. He explained it, testifying in favor of this version of the bill, because as there were a lot of questions and concerns about the original version. Fairfax County testified in favor, and also Southern Law Environmental Center. So the subcommittee is on a 6-2 vote recommending to the full committee to report the bill or pass it. This morning, so that was Tuesday afternoon, this morning House Transportation met. The bill was not on the agenda for the committee. The chair announced that today was the last meeting of the committee. So the last day that a committee can take action on a bill is midnight, Monday the 17th. So unless an additional meeting of House Transportation is scheduled, my belief is that version of the bill as a bill is not moving forward.
So unless a full meeting of House Transportation is scheduled?
Yes, ma'am.
Who is the new chair of House Transportation?
Oh, it's the same chair we've always had. It's Delegate Delaney.
Oh, House Transportation is Delegate Delaney. Okay, so, okay, all right.
Um,
So by Monday,
well, midnight. So Monday night going into Tuesday morning. Yes.
and as far as you know, is that?
There is no
something-
meeting scheduled, no. And then it becomes, and I haven't talked to Senator Surville since that happened. There were a lot of committee meetings this afternoon, a lot was going on. So, and he's, he's got a lot of bills going on. He's got some energy things going on, whatnot. So I don't know whether, the only other place that could then pop up would be if it is a language amendment in the budget.
Okay. Okay. That makes sense. You think that's possible?
He's got a lot on his plate and, he's managing the end of session for the caucus. And some specific bills that he's patron of, so I'll check in with him, but I think at this point, all we can do is see what happens. He's not a budget conferee.
Mhm, Yeah.
So we'll
Okay.
see.
Ms. Bennett, if there is one thing, and then I'll open up to committee members. If there's one thing I think I would want for the House leader to know, if there's one thing I would ask you to relay to the House leader, is that MBTA was happy and to be the organization tasked with doing this study. We are looking at the study that was done. We were more than pleased that that confidence was placed in us. The issue was the timing, that we would have a very short period of time to do an enormous amount of work. And when I say we, I don't even mean me, I mean the MBTA staff. And so they would have needed to have either a contractor to do that work, or just push the due by date back. It wasn't that that MBTA ever did not believe it was a good study to do, didn't want to have it, didn't think it was possible. It's just so many of the entities that would take part in that study are pretty involved already in the DMV moves. And so to have that bandwidth of MBTA staff to do that right now by November 1st of this year was just not a timeline that probably could have been met. So I do want to relay to the leader, to the Senate leader, that it wasn't a disagreement with having it done or MBTA being chosen as the entity. It was just simply a matter of the time. And so I'm going to ask my colleagues that they have anything to add to that. No? Ms. Jefferson, Chair Jefferson, do you have anything to add to that?
I do not, thank you.
Okay, all right, Ms. Baynard.
And Madam Chair, I will say, as when he presented the bill and explained why he wanted to do it, Senator Servo was very upfront on the fact that the authority would have loved to have had more time. But his sense of urgency wouldn't be the first thing he would ask to get changed in his bill. He didn't say it in a pejorative way, but he wanted to acknowledge that, that the time piece of it was something that the authority was going to be challenged with.
Yeah. So the other option besides giving more time is putting money in the budget for a contractor. And that did not seem to be met with willingness either. So that's where we were standing. So we didn't even take a position on the bill at all in the MBTA. So I know that there were counties that took a position on the bill, that are counties that are part of MBTA, but MBTA itself did not take a position on the bill.
That is correct.
Yeah, okay. All right.
So that was the only, the other bill that we have discussed, Senator Evans, FOIA bill, which related to posting on agendas and items on agendas. In the end, on the House side, while sympathetic to what he was trying to do, they thought that there were still some challenges with the language. And so the House subcommittee decided not to move the bill forward, but instead refer the topic to the FOIA Council to take a look at over the summer and into the fall.
Oh, okay. Okay. What did Evans' bill not have some language in there, or does it have some language in there that says, except for in the case of blah, 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 whatever that in the case may be?
So it did end up having two sort of what I would say sort of opt-out provisions. One was if it was an item you had discussed in a closed session,
Okay.
or if it was time sensitive or significant, I can't remember exactly the wording. Testimony was given mostly concerned about what they thought was the vagueness of the language. And a really good point was brought up that given some of the recent decisions by the Virginia Supreme Court regarding notice for local government and how several local governments across the Commonwealth have had to redo decisions, that they did not want to have any ambiguity in the wording. And then by that time, so this was also this week, again, this is, next to the last full week of session, there just wasn't going to be enough time to really work through what the wording would be, which is why it was referred to the FOIA council. Or will be referred to the FOIA council.
Okay. Okay. All right.
And it came
that-
it came from a problem where another jurisdiction put a controversial item on the agenda that was not on the posted agenda, and stakeholders felt that they weren't given an opportunity to prepare or even know to be at that meeting.
I do understand that. It's just, when we have these one-offs with a county or a board, why can't that be handled within the county or that board? Why do we have to literally make a Commonwealth-wide law change that makes all of our lives harder because one board did something one time? That's just my vent.
Yeah.
Y'all want to join me in your venting?
Yes.
Okay.
It is ridiculous.
Ms. Jefferson, would you like to join me in the venting?
I actually have a different vent. I'm trying to understand why Michelle Davis Younger and I haven't been in the same room in such a long time. Michelle, are we the same person?
I think it's all personal.
Well, Michelle been here. I've been with Michelle.
She was here last time I wasn't. I'm here this
I'm
time.
saying, like, are we the same person? Like, what's up? All right. We can't be in the same place at the same time. No, I completely understand how you feel about that, Chair Randall, but I have nothing to add.
Okay, wonderful. You good?
Good.
Okay.
So Chair
Um,
Randall, as I said, that's all I had, just some key deadlines to keep in mind as we head towards Sine Die on February 22nd, please, oh please. As I said, midnight on Monday is the last day committee action on any legislation. Then Thursday is the last day to put bills into conference. Friday, they can only address or deal with conference report. The rule, as you recall, is that they need to have 48 hours before they will vote on the budget. So if you were to stick to Sine Die on Saturday, February 22nd, we would see a budget conference report ideally sometime on the 20th. I have no indication of whether how far those discussions have gone so far. They just named conferees yesterday.
Well, and it is my understanding, and if I'm incorrect, and I hope that I am, please tell me, that at this moment, there is not a budget conferee from Northern Virginia.
No, that's incorrect.
Okay,
There's not a budget conferee from Northern Virginia on the Senate side.
that's what I
On the
mean. Yeah,
House side, we have two. We have
on the
Chair
Senate side, there is
Torian
not one.
and Vice Chair Sickles, correct. But on the
Okay.
Senate side, we don't have
There's
anyone.
nobody.
We had one. And she
Is
was
there
not-
is there a vacancy that could be filled on the Senate side with a person from Northern Virginia?
to date, they have not chosen to fill that spot. But in theory, yes, ma'am.
All righty. So then there are, for the House and Senate combined, there are two budget conferees, both on the House side for the part of the state that has 40% of the population. Gotcha. Gotcha, okay. All right, Ms. Mayor, anything else?
I think I've done enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
it is.
All
Yeah.
right, Chair
Yeah.
Jefferson, you got anything else?
I do not, thank you.
Mayors, do you have anything else? Good?
Yeah.
You good? Ms. Backman, you have anything?
I do
All right. Thank you very much, Ms. Banner. for your
Thank
time. We are adjourned.
Thank you.
Okay, now we can go to the
me
small
know we're off
conference
first.
room.